All right, let's kick into it. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first ever AWS customer experience webinar. The first anywhere in the world, we think, designed to speak to customer service, business and operational managers. So thank you everyone for joining. My name is Phil Zammit. I head up the Amazon Connect business unit here in Asia Pacific for Amazon Web Services, or AWS, and it's my pleasure to kick off today's webinar and discussion. Just for reference, we'll be sending follow-up information and content from today's webinar post the event. I'd like to thank our guest speakers, our valued customers, Rachel Moore from GoGet, David Crisp from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, ABS, and Adam Novak from NIB. Rachel, David and Adam have given of their time to be with us for this session. As we all know, everyone has very busy schedules these days, so it's a privilege to have their input and to hear their stories. Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to give an overview of our Amazon story, then we'll move into our three guest speakers, and then if we have time, we may open up for a few questions from our webinar audience as well. So Amazon is a company of builders, as we say, and we get our energy from inventing on behalf of our customers. We truly live our mission statement every day and with every decision to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. And it was this focus on customer obsession and inventiveness that led us, over a decade ago, to build our own technology to power our service centers globally. The Amazon Retail, AWS Support Organization, and over 45 Amazon subsidiaries such as Zappos and Audible use the same technology to deliver exceptional customer service outcomes for our customers. In terms of scale in servicing our customers, to give you a snapshot, last year on Cyber Monday, our Amazon Retail business supported over 3.25 million customer interactions in one single day globally. That is a pretty phenomenal number of customer conversations. Yes, that's right, 3.25 million customer conversations in one day. Today, our global service organization scales between 70,000 and 83,000 agents, depending on the time of the year, with peak times such as Cyber Monday, as I just referred, and Black Friday creating massive spike events for us. So when a number of our customers approached us to ask Amazon what technology we were using to power our service organization, in short, we analysed this customer feedback and interest and ultimately decided to productize what we now know and refer to as Amazon Connect. So when we talk about our story from an Amazon retail and service perspective, when we look at the analysis from these customers, we quickly determined a number of challenges and frustrations facing our customers. Three in particular were consistent in this feedback. Number one, there were significant cost pressures in maintaining and managing legacy contact center and CX solutions. Number two, unless there was significant capital outlay, the chance to try new technologies was difficult and complex, and thus most technology solutions stayed in place with little advancement or improvement over time. And three, the lack of agility in the existing solutions meant that the capacity to adjust dynamically to CX demands was limited and was directly impacting on negative customer service. So we listened to our customers, and we like to think, as we say, we invented on their behalf. What we summarise, these customers were genuinely seeking to move with greater speed, to innovate, to improve customer experience. But it's not just about Amazon Connect. With the launch over the last few years of a number of AWS and Amazon core products that relate to customer experience, we believe we have listened to, invented on behalf of, and delivered a powerful set of capabilities for our customers. With the release of Amazon Lex, which uses the same algorithm and brain as we use in our Amazon Alexa service, which Rachel will talk to you about today, and our powerful text-to-speech engine, Amazon Polly, which can synthesize 54 different voices in 25 separate languages, and AI services such as Amazon Translate, Transcribe and Comprehend, to name just a few of our 130 products. Our customers now have a wonderful opportunity to address these challenges and frustrations that they fed back to us. So our vision at AWS is for a data-driven, AI-enabled customer experience. When we think about CX capabilities and products which we are evolving and new services being launched, we are striving to help our customers innovate, experiment, and ultimately to increase the velocity in their business. This velocity could be around how quickly you respond to or get ahead of CX demands, or how quickly you can iterate a new product offering or service for your customers. It's an exciting space to be in when you can move with such speed and with no costs up front from AWS. And with the introduction of very powerful data insight with AI and machine learning tools from AWS, we are seeing a revolution occurring. We refer to this as the notion of the virtuous CX cycle. The more data that we capture, use, and learn, the more we can personalize experiences, the more we can adjust and orientate our delivery of service increasingly into proactive service adoption. As we like to say in a simplistic example, if box A arrives at location B at time C, and if our data integrity is strong, we can see that the delivery of box A is not on track. Now, instead of waiting for our customer to call or to make contact, thus reduced customer experience, why not proactively go out to our customer and advise them through an SMS or a call that the delivery will be late and what the new revised delivery time will be, thereby improving customer sat and reducing their costs as well. With the cost to serve an inbound call being far higher than effective outbound customer interactions, say using SMS. Now, we use the term here of going to where your customers are. And philosophically, when customers contact us at Amazon, we believe there has been an error or a mistake. It's not about stopping customer conversations, but it is about having more valuable discussions. So imagine if your customer experience technology could listen into customer conversations in real time, and from this insight deliver contextually powerful insights and relevant content to your agents to boost the value and service they are providing to your customers. Imagine if your customer insights and predictive behavior models are constantly learning. You could bring to bear machine learning models to improve the level and type of service you are delivering to your customers proactively. And imagine if you could test and prove out your service or CX hypothesis in hours and days. Try NLU in terms of authentication or repetitive task work, or rapidly integrate a service like one of our ISV partners, Pindrop, for fraud prevention, fraud detection, voice biometrics in the near future. Really exciting prospects for our customers. Our aim today in the webinar is to stimulate thoughts and ideas about how businesses such as yours can look to innovate their customer experience channels and processes, about how you can use cloud to help build your own experiment. You'll hear some fascinating stories from Rachel, David, and Adam that cover these themes of innovation, experimentation, and velocity in customer experience and service. To get you thinking, we will showcase how GoGet, the ABS, and NIB are using cloud and AI to experiment with new service channels and business models which allow them to learn and adapt in real time. So do make sure you stick around for the full 60 minutes as we have some tools to help you take the next step if you wish to get moving. So let's get started. I'd like to now introduce David Crisp from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Thanks, David.
Okay then, thank you very much, Phil. So, my name's David Crisp, and I'm from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and I was the lead solution architect for the Australian Marriage Survey. Now let me go into full screen present mode, one moment. Okay then, so I'll be talking about our partnership with AWS for the survey, and also touching on Phil's points about velocity and a customer-centric approach. I'll also be talking about the subject of building trust with the public. So, to set the scene, in August last year, Malcolm Turnbull announced the same-sex marriage survey. He announced that the Australian Bureau of Stats would be running the survey and that the results would be due in 99 days. We heard this news at the same time as the public, so we started from a standing start. We grew from a team of 8 people around a table to a task force of 150 internal staff. And we also built out a working network of multiple government departments, external auditors, and third-party suppliers. So we were forming a team, designing the operation, engaging with the public, and actually doing the survey simultaneously, all while under intense public scrutiny. So it was a daunting task, but we had some factors on our side. Firstly, trust in government was at an all-time high. Well, at least, I really wish it was. The reality was that trust in government is at an all-time low. But there was general acceptance in the media that we would be able to deliver. Once again, I wish this was the case, but this is an example of the types of articles we saw. This one claiming that the same-sex marriage could break the ABS. These were the types of articles that we saw the morning after we found out they were working on the survey. So this all highlights a really important subject. The marriage survey was a lot of things for a lot of different people. But for us in the ABS, it was first and foremost an exercise in rebuilding trust. So after our 2016 census outage, also known as the #censusfail, we needed to build trust in ABS's capability, and we also wanted to build trust in the Australian Public Service overall. So to do this, we needed to provide a positive user experience for all of Australia through this survey, in addition to integrity of the result and security of the data. Very early on in the design of the survey, another requirement became clear. Malcolm Turnbull described the survey as a chance for everyone to have their say. And so this means inclusive strategies for people working, people overseas, people with disabilities, remote and Indigenous communities, people who spoke different languages. So it was clear that a paper-only survey was not going to cut it. We needed multiple ways for people to respond, including responding online and on the phone. To address these inclusiveness requirements, we went to market and we partnered with AWS. AWS were on-site throughout the survey and deeply embedded in our task force. Here's an overview of what AWS delivered. We had an online form and also a phone-based system for capturing responses. The phone solution was powered by Amazon Polly and Connect. And as Phil mentioned, Polly is a text-to-speech technology, and we found it in practice really rapid to set up and really quick to change based on how we saw Australians use it. The backend was powered by serverless Lambda and DynamoDB technology. A key point here is that the solution was put together very rapidly. Our first contact with AWS was on day 8 of the survey. They commenced work on day 14 and had a first cut of this solution by day 20. We then iterated on the solution, added security features, added integration with our in-house systems, and went live as scheduled on day 50. Now, in our testing regime, a big focus was availability of the online form. So any outage of the online form would have drawn comparisons back to that 2016 online census. So we put the AWS form through a rigorous load testing and distributed denial of service battery of tests. To give a feel for the scale of the testing, if you were to ask everyone in Australia to hop online and fill out a form on a single night, like we did with the 2016 census, you're looking at a bell curve of usage that will peak at about 250 submits per second. And in our largest test with AWS, we threw 100,000 submits per second at the form. So that's 400 Australia's worth of load. The Lambda technology behind the scenes handled load extremely well and had response times of less than a second, despite all of that load. So if you want to run 400 concurrent censuses all at once, this is the type of infrastructure to run it on. Now, we were very happy with the result that AWS delivered and the outcome of the survey as a whole. So for our goal of providing an accessible survey, we earned a very strong endorsement from Alistair McEwen, who's the Disability and Discrimination Commissioner for Australia, noting that we'd set ourselves apart as a leader in implementing accessible alternatives on a national scale. For our goal of a positive user experience, public polling showed that 94% of Australians agreed or strongly agreed that the ABS was making it easy to participate. And near the conclusion of the survey, 90% agreed or strongly agreed that the ABS can be trusted to manage the postal survey. So we're very proud of those results, and also very proud that just last week, the ABS won the Australia-wide Public Sector Innovation Competition for the category of Citizen-Centered Innovation. And our inclusiveness approach and positive user experience were key reasons for that win. Now, this was a whole lot of work, a whole lot of effort to get here, but at the end, it all led towards this really important day on December 7 last year, where same-sex marriage was legalized in Parliament. So reflecting on what we learned through this process, there's a lot of lessons that the ABS has learned around what we can achieve when we work in a really agile and collaborative way. But I think the two most important lessons for this forum is firstly that cloud is the only option for Australia-wide events. There's no doubt of this in our mind after seeing what the AWS forum could do. I think 2021, our census for 2021 will be heavily cloud-based, and of course the online forum will be cloud-based. The other lesson really comes back to the central theme of trust. So as an organization, we're on a journey to build trust with the public. This was an intense, high-stakes activity. And in this activity, AWS showed that they could be trusted to deliver solutions at a really high velocity. And the solutions that they delivered were extremely robust and reliable. So the bottom line is that we're on a journey to build trust. And on this journey, we placed our trust in AWS, and they delivered. Thank you.
Thanks so much, David. Such a wonderful story you've shared with us all here today. Really great insights. Just a side note, I wonder if the plural of census is censuses or censi, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, and huge congratulations to your entire team for the great recognition you just talked about, thoroughly deserved. It's wonderful to see the alignment with our Amazon mission statement of being the Earth's most customer-centric company with your recent Citizen-Centric Award, which is certainly very difficult to say fast 3 times. Thanks so much, David. I'd like to now introduce you to Adam Novak. Adam is the head of Group Customer Experience and Operational Excellence at NIB and has been there for 8 years. He's responsible for ensuring that NIB put the customer at the heart of everything they do to improve the customer experience and business performance through the application of experience design, operational excellence, and intelligent automation techniques and methodologies. Previous to NIB, Adam worked in advertising for over 10 years, although we don't hold that against you, in strategic planning, client and creative roles both in Australia and overseas. Thanks again, Adam, and over to you.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having me to share, I guess, NIB's journey and experimentation with AWS and Amazon Lex. So NIB, for those who don't know us, most of you will, we're one of Australia's leading private health insurers, and we really do pride ourselves on our customer centricity. So I guess with our journey, it was really important that we started with the customer problem rather than jumping to a technology solution. One of the things we do is we look at, we run voice of customer demand analysis across all of our touch points where our customers engage with us. And we did this over our live chat channel where our customers will jump on our website and ask a live agent through a chat window for help. And what we actually found was doing the analysis was that even though our live chat was, one of the live chat windows was sitting on our Contact Us page for our Australian resident health insurance customers, we found that there was over 5,000 chats initiated each year from our international students and international worker customers who actually, their Contact Us sites were on the other parts of the page. We also found that 22% of these live chats were initiated by customers looking for a sale, so there's a real opportunity there. And 35% of live chats were initiated by customers with a hospital or claims inquiry, which is a real key moment of truth and quite complex. And that 6% of live chats can actually be self-served online. So the opportunity for that was for us to, route customers to the correct queue to eliminate hours of poor customers and employee experience. Because one of the things we do is we go to the Gemba, so we go to the place of work. So getting context of what this voice of customer data is. So these 5,000 chats. So I went down, I sat with our Australian contact centre, and I watched our agents doing these chats. Average chat was around 8 minutes or so. And I'd sit there, and it's about 3 or 4 out of 10 chats were coming from students or workers. And about 8 minutes into the chat, the consultant would then realise that, oh, you're an international student. I actually can't help you. You're going to have to call this number. So, that chat is probably, the preferred channel by the student, because English may not necessarily be their first language. So now for the poor customer, they've got to ring a number, sit in a queue and repeat themselves. And for the consultant, they've just wasted 8 minutes of their time. So that was, that was one of the key things we wanted to do. With 22% of live chats, that was a great opportunity to either keep these customers in the sales funnel or pass them to a live agent as a hot lead. We can improve experience and key moments of truth by running to correct hospitably accredited consultants for these complex conversations, and also directing customers to online services and deflecting the query from the contact center, the self-service. And with experimentation and innovation, you just got to have a crack. You've got to be brave and get started, or as Michelle Bridges would say, JFDI. So I guess a few of us in the organisation, this almost this role of a stealth change agent, of how we can start experimenting and innovate to really deliver some great customer experiences. One of the big lessons for us when we started out on our journey is we didn't assume what the customer wanted. So even though we had a lot of voice of customer data on our chat channel, we didn't know how customers would react. So we started small. We kept things really simple and lean. We had a small cross-functional team with daily stand-ups from a development, contact center, and customer experience and business partners all together making decisions. And we started off with one simple intent, and then we built from there. And what that allowed us to do was actually build out a chat flow based on what customers were actually asking us, rather than going in with a full-blown chat flow and then realizing that it was actually useless and potentially a waste of development time, because it was an innovation sprint that we did with our partners in Amazon and DS. So, but one of the things that we did find that when you do, just get started, that you've got to be willing to fail fast and iterate. And you get things wrong. You always do. So one of my favorites was when we first launched Nivi. Nivi would introduce himself as a virtual assistant, and the first question he would ask customers was, please start by telling me your name. So most customers or humans, right, just go straight in there and ask what their intent is. For example, can you send me a tax statement? Or, oh, yeah, I just want to update my email address. So Nivi would go, hi, please send me a tax statement. How are you today? So epic fail. But because we were in this agile environment, working with AWS and Amazon, we could iterate, and we were deploying within 8 minutes. And we get about 12 deployments a day. And the avatar we had to create for Nivi, that was a learning from people who just didn't get that Nivi was not a human. So that was one of the learnings. And we also, Nivi didn't, from day one or day two, we realized from looking at the transcripts that Nivi was pretty rude. Didn't have any manners. So we had to, build in please and thank yous and goodbyes. And it was this constant iteration. So it became quite successful because it was led by the customer and not what the business assumed. And also, when you're looking at this technology, you've got to be prepared for the unexpected. You've got to adapt. So we saw things that how our customers would interact. They would interact very differently to our live chat online, to our digital assistant in Nivi through Amazon Lex. So we found that even through all our analysis on live chat showed that no customer had ever tried to cancel through that channel. But as soon as they found out they weren't actually talking to a human, 6% of our chats through Nivi are actually customers requesting to cancel. So so we had to quickly, because of the environment we're working, we could quickly build that intent in, capture all the utterances for that intent, and allowed us to actually route those customers to a specialized consultant queue. But basically, those consultants were able to have the conversation with those customers, understand their need for cancelling, and basically reselling the importance of having private health insurance. One of the other great lessons is you need to treat your digital assistants as an actual employee. And the more you train them, the more employees that they can actually become. So we had a full-time coach or mentor.
Lunch breaks you're talking about.
Yeah. We had a full-time coach just monitoring Nivi, looking at all the transactions, all the customer conversations coming through. So we could start building intents, and then we would also capture all the missed utterances. So what that means is how a customer would ask for something. So we could actually continuously feed that into Nibby. So the androgynous would continue to learn and get better and better.
So Adam, is this kind of, as you say, the metaphor to human agents from a quality management and coaching perspective? That same principle or metaphor applies to a digital assistant in that sense. It needs to be always learning and being trained. Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess so where Nibby can't help a customer, Nibby actually passes through to a live agent, but it's actually a better experience for our employees on the floor, because when the customer passes through, they already know the customer's name and they have the intent straight away. So it leads to a better improved customer experience as well. So Nibby has been on our Contact Us page on our website at nib.com.au since October last year. For the proof of concept, we've had over 16,000 customer interactions. We've had, success rate at the start. The first few weeks was pretty low as we learned and started to train Nibby. But now it's sitting at on average of 72% success rate. And what we deem as success is when Nibby has understood the customer's intent and followed the correct path, whether that be routing to the correct queue or routing to online services for self-service. And that routing to online service, self-service, represents the 23% call deflection rate. So normally in the past, those chats would go through to our agents. Now they're going straight to self-service.
And did NIB deliberate on how you define success in terms of, the success rate, the 72%, whether it's the execution of the intent, as you say, or whether it's just a conclusion from an automation point of view? Did you deliberate on that definition?
To be honest, at the start, it was just like we were very basic on our metrics for the proof of concept. When now that we're moving, the roadmap for Nibby is to do a lot more things. Then our success metrics will change. Right. For example, we're looking for Nibby to conduct a privacy check. So once Nibby can do that, then Nibby can also do simple transactions for our customers, which is where we want to go. So I guess the key lessons for us is all around this ongoing experimentation and learning, and really setting up, that right environment and working models to be able to do this. Continuous improvement and training through missed utterances, always listening to our customers. Customer feedback and self-learning loop is key. So having an ability for our customers to actually respond to Nibby if Nibby was successful, so then we can train that through machine learning. Nibby can eventually teach itself. Enhanced performance reporting and visual management. So having visual management, understanding your stats daily is really important. It's something that, in the daily stand-ups and the huddles, you can talk about this and how we can continue to improve. Voice of customer analysis is really key to identify opportunities per business segment. So, NIB, we're NIB Australia, New Zealand, and we have our World Nomads group. So looking at how we can start rolling out digital assistants across our business segments. And also looking at whereabouts on certain parts of the website that digital assistants can play a part, and the personality they need and the conversational structure and flow. Contact Us digital assistant may be very different to a digital assistant that sits on a going to hospital part of the website, for example. So it's been a great journey for us, and one we're really excited to continue. We've got some great plans to look at Nibby not only on the website, but also exploring how we can use the technology in Amazon through voice as well.
Awesome. Really cool story, Adam. Thanks very much. Just like David's example, talking around those notions of innovation, experimentation, and that velocity which you talk about, and the statistics that come out of it. Yeah, really great insight. I think your thesis that you'll do on social interaction of digital assistant will be quite fascinating reading one day, but maybe put it in a movie form. That'd be great. Thanks, Adam. Okay, our last guest speaker for today's webinar is Rachel Moore. Rachel is the Head of Product Development at GoGet, Australia's first and largest car share provider. In this role, Rachel has overseen the launch of a number of technical firsts, including GoGet's recent Alexa skill implementation. As a member of GoGet's senior leadership team, Rachel has played a key part in the service growth to over 100,000 members and 2,700 vehicles, and its integration into the life of most Australian cities. Rachel's specialties include technical strategic road mapping, managing fast-moving and creating DevOps, and keeping her team of tech talent happy, which is always fun. Thanks, Rachel. Over to you.
Great, thanks, Phil. So as Phil mentioned, I am here to talk about GoGet's experience with developing an Alexa booking skill. So just some background to GoGet for anyone who's not familiar with this. We were founded in 2003 by 2 Newtown locals. Started with 12 founding members and 3 mostly borrowed cars. And really a mission to reduce the number of privately owned vehicles clogging up inner city streets. So I'm now going to show a map of Sydney, showing our membership growth over a 10-year period. You can see it starts pretty light, and then suddenly you can see a lot of blue light, explosion of blue light, as it kind of explained out through the network. So I think the interesting story here is that we started in the inner city. You can really see that it's now a really comprehensive solution for a lot of members. So the idea of car sharing is bringing people all of the convenience of owning a car without the hassle. People sign up as members to the service and then can book what we call a wardrobe of vehicles that are conveniently located near their homes or works whenever they need them for an hour or a few days. So they often book via our mobile apps, and really it is about convenience. So convenience is at the heart of our service. So the growth of GoGet has been about the expansion of who a GoGet member is. So it's now a whole of community solution, including businesses who use GoGet to reduce fleet and taxi costs, and often convenient transport solutions for their staff. So because convenience is at the heart of our service offering, making sure our product changes in line with both who our customers are and also what their customer expectations are has always been really important for us. So you can see on the slide there's some examples of how we've innovated to meet new customer needs. And really what we're experiencing now is that customer expectations are changing, not just with demographics, but also in line with technology advancements. And that was really why developing a voice booking platform was a priority for us. We are one of the few car sharing companies with our own proprietary car sharing platform. So we build all our tech ourselves, and that makes it easier for us to innovate and meet customer needs. The reason why voice was important is that roughly 55% of bookings occur less than an hour before the booking start time. So that's members. Our members are last minute people, basically. It's all about last minute choices, and therefore convenience is, again, one of the really important things. And a hands-free booking solution is really the most convenient way that a last minute person running out the door late for their next meeting or for their, child's recital can get going. And that's why we chose voice. It's a really good next step for us. In terms of our Alexa skill, it is actually one of the most complex skills on the market. And that's because in order to book a GoGet car, you have to make at least 4 choices. So they're choices around what kind of car you need. Do you need a van? Do you need a Corolla? Do you need an 8-seater people mover? How long do you need it? When do you need it from? What location do you need it from? Do you need it for the weekend? Do you need it for right now? Do you need a pet-friendly car? So there are lots of different choices, and having a really limited set of choices as an MVP would mean that we couldn't service maybe as much as 80% of trips. So we needed to build that complexity in from the very start. Our skill can search availability, it can make bookings, it can get information for specific locations or vehicles, and it can also get some past booking information. So if someone made a previous booking through another mode and needed to check, I've forgotten which vehicle I need to book, which vehicle was it again right before they go out the door, Alexa can help them do that. So when we started, we had a lot of user journeys that we wanted to cover. We actually based our user journey mapping on the same workflows that we use for our mobile app designs. And when we were designing our mobile apps, we knew that we needed to support both existing members who knew exactly what they want, and also new members who needed to be guided through the process as more of a kind of step-by-step booking workflow, and also with a lot of information along the way. The difference, though, with voice development was that in order to provide information for new members, Alexa would have to talk a lot, too much. So new members need to be able to access when they need paragraphs of information, and that's just not a
practical, is it?
Practical, yeah. It feels very strange to wait listening to Alexa for 5 minutes. So yeah, no one wants to listen to Alexa read out a long list of car names and locations, no more than they would want a customer service representative to do the same. And that was really helpful because it enabled us to narrow the focus on who a voice experience was most convenient for, which is someone who knows what they want, basically. And that is what an existing customer is. So they have familiarity with the cars. We actually name all of our cars. So people will know that they want, you know, Betsy. Yeah. Betsy the Yaris from Pitt Street.
Do you have a Herbie?
We probably have a Herbie.
Am I kind of dating myself there, aren't I? Yeah.
Yeah, we probably do. We have more than 2,800 cars. Yeah. So we have a lot of very specific names. Yeah, and they're all member names, which is fun.
That's cool.
So if you're a GoGet member, you can probably find your car somewhere. Yeah, and yeah, so members, existing members, have a lot of familiarity with what they want, where they're booking, that kind of thing, and that works really well for voice, is what we discovered. So in terms of our learnings, that was a big one. We haven't, so it's very early stages for us with this booking source. In terms of the next stage of our skill, we know that being able to ask for a particular car name is something that our existing members would really like to do. We've conducted quite a few user testing surveys and interviews, and that was kind of often the first thing that someone would want to do. We also know that people being able to reserve their favorite cars would be something that they'd like to do. And then we're also really excited about using screens to show maps of where cars are located, to show exactly how cars look, because not everyone knows the difference between a Yaris and a Corolla. So that's useful as well. So now that we know what experiences work for voice, we would narrow the scope from the very beginning. There was a lot of wasted workflows and development cycles. Not so much development cycles, but more kind of paper, really. Lots of kind of scribbled workflows. Lots of journey mapping. Yeah. That, while very interesting, was not in the end used. So yeah, the key learning: if you read something out loud and it doesn't sound good, it won't sound good in Alexa.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Phil. I'll hand over to you.
Great. Super cool story. And I think if I saw that correctly, was it a chauffeured stuffed pig in one of the photos there? Was that?
That's right. Yeah. So the great thing about GoGet is that you can use it for anything. Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much. So I'd like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude for our 3 customer guest speakers today. Really enjoyed the discussion, and the insights are invaluable for anyone who is keen on starting their AI-enabled CX reimagining. Really appreciate your time, Rachel, David, and Adam. Thanks again. Really great insights as well, and thanks for sharing with such candor as well. So as I said, at Amazon, we are a company of builders. For those on the webinar that are interested in pursuing a further discussion with AWS, or are interested in learning more about how you could build your own experiment, we will be running a number of workshops across Australia in the next few months. These workshops will be run against our Amazon working backwards methodology, with a concentration on the AWS customer experience portfolio that I've outlined today. You could think of these sessions as helping arm you with some guiding principles in terms of forming a model or an approach for achieving the same outcomes as Rachel, David, and Adam have shared with us today. The other option you have is if you want a more customized one-to-one, deeper dive workshop with members of the AWS CX team, then simply vote for option 2 on the screen right now. And you can get in contact with me and I'm happy to discuss what this could look like for you and your business. As I said in the introduction and the preamble, we'll be sending through follow-up information and content from today's webinar to all attendees, and really do look forward to continuing the conversation with you. So I think we have a bit of time, and if there are any questions that pop out, we can go through them right now from the webinar audience. So the question that came from the webinar floor, figuratively speaking, was how would we consider an aging population in terms of technology adoption? Well, I think in terms of what David's story, Adam's story, Rachel's story, in terms of what Adam and Rachel are talking about, the utilisation of voice from a conversational automation point of view, it's a really important area. And obviously, I think the trend towards improved voice automation, natural language automation and processing is a hot area in the market being talked about from customers right now. So the idea of that, and I think in some ways some of the points that Rachel raised around that journey mapping piece, the idea is to simplify the experience. We talk about, from a customer experience perspective, that increasingly moving towards a reduction in customer effort. How do we make that experience as frictionless as possible? So for someone that maybe a retirement village or home or whatever the circumstances, we want to try and enable that user of technology in such a way that it's simple and intuitive for them. And we do really think from an Amazon Web Services point of view that voice is a significantly important area of where that technology can be utilised to improve services around customer experience and service, including aging population. Because now you don't really have to teach someone is the idea here. The idea is to be able to have a natural language conversation, have a natural conversation. That's the intent. The points that Rachel raised, I think, are really salient in terms of the things to consider, the things to think about around how simple that experience is over voice, as an example, though. Thanks for the question, though. So the question that just came through was a question probably for Rachel here.
Yeah,
what was the time frame of it took from, let's say, from the initiation, the idea, the experiment, to building out the Alexa skill?
Great. So we started journey mapping in January of this year and had a testing skill by, I believe, probably April, and launched about 6 weeks ago. So but as I said, kind of a lot of the time in terms of why it took us till April to have a skill was about discarding workflows rather than building workflows.
So the question was, as Adam here from NIB, of whether we're seeing greater increase in, I guess, chat sessions versus traditional voice. Look, it's a new channel. Voice is definitely still king for us. We are seeing, though, that the use of digital assistants and our customers using those channels is growing. But voice will always be important to us. I guess it's understanding that we've got to it's giving our customers choice of how they want to interact with us.
Last question. That's a wrap for today's webinar. Thanks again for everyone who's joined. I really appreciate the time. Again, to our guest speakers, David, Rachel, Adam, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. As I said, the content for today's webinar will flow through in the next few days from the AWS team. And if you haven't done so, please vote now if you would like to. And I think there's also going to be a customer satisfaction evaluation survey that comes through as well. So I encourage you to put your remarks there as well and vote. Really important in terms of getting customer feedback in terms of these webinars and customer sessions. Thanks again.